Hello and welcome to the Monday night community race for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. My name is Rex Raoul. I'm here with J Money Motas. Motas, how are you tonight?
Oh, I can't complain. I'm not at GDQ, but at least I can be here watching this great race.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a couple great runners running tonight, four of them being featured. The race is about to start, and then we'll introduce our runners. We want to see who we've got first. Looks like we've got Yang and Rydia as our start characters. And we have been given. I missed the item. Can you repeat? Can you get that for us, Motas?
Yeah, looks like it was the Baron key, so a good start. They can open up a new path, although probably not one they're going to be able to take right away with this starting party.
Right. Yeah, it does. We'll probably take a few levels, especially with characters like Rydia and Yang, who need a little bit of help to do a little damage at the beginning of the game. But our four featured runners tonight, we have LQ Fury 14, Doctor of Spin, Simbu, and Chokasura. And we've got about 20 people running the race totally. So we've got a number of people who are running who are not who are not being featured tonight as well.
Right, and you may notice there's a little bit change of the flag format versus the last time these community races were broadcasted. We're on a new version of the randomizer, and with this Rydia start, I thought I'd mention there is a new flag, the Dash Hobbs flag. With this start, you may see some players go to the other entrance of Hobbs besides the character check, because they can get a random spell for Rydia, including everything except Bahamut or Leviathan. That replaces the Fire 1 spell that she usually learns there.
Yeah, getting something like a Titan really early can definitely make Rydia a lot more useful without being dependent on finding that lucky Bahamut. So we
All
see
of our players.
Simba's heading up towards Damcine Castle. Everyone has raided Barren Town, and it looks like Chokasura is heading to Mist as well.
This is a pretty standard play, checking all of the normal treasure locations before you're forced to fight bosses. Especially the treasure settings tonight are on T3, so there's going to be some pretty good gear available. And with the shop setting at S2, we're not going to see a lot of players checking the weapon and item shops, except for some essentials like maybe some good bows and arrows if they need it.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think the item shops will still be checked. Life potions are definitely still something that people are going to want to find if they can.
Oh yeah, they won't get many hits on equipment, but the essentials, basically, especially with the Japanese items on, the players are going to be looking for are sirens, hourglasses, life potions, and cabins. Those are like the big four items that are kind of almost required, depending on your party makeup.
Yeah, and then seeing Galbez and Tella up at the top of Mount Hobbs, and Simbu says, "Nope, not for me."
Long cutscene fight to get the exit and weak machine, although he doesn't even have weak at first, so I can imagine that's going to be a quick duck for a lot of our players unless they're really desperate for some black magic later.
Yeah, and with Rydia in the party, it does. I doubt they'll be that desperate for the damage output, but yeah, Tella is Tella worth it to fight Galbez there? Probably not. Definitely not at this point.
I did see all of our players have gotten a Blitz Whip from Damcien, so Rydia could actually be dealing some good physical damage for these early bosses if she can stay alive too.
And I believe I saw Sid sleeping in the Kaipo Inn on Flurry's stream. So if they find the Sand Ruby, they'd get a character who's a bit higher level and can pack a punch without a whole lot of help at the beginning of the game. Although his damage output does trail off as the end of the game comes along. When we are seeing Chokasura did make use of that Hobbs flag and learned Jin for Rydia. So now the Fire Summon is now available for Rydia for the rest of which is probably going to help in the early part of the game.
Yeah, and it doesn't take too many levels for Rydia's MP pool to get such she can cast it multiple times too. That's the good thing about the lower power summons, instead of spending like all the MP you have to the mid game with a Bahamut, you can cast it a couple of times with the lower ones.
Yeah, that 90 MP cost on Bahamut is real tough. You see Baigan at the bottom of the Antlion Cave as Simbu was getting into that fight.
It's a really good spot to fight him just because Baigan can be really ugly depending on the spot he's at, but with only 1,000 HP at Antlion, it makes it a little bit easier to deal with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Baigan, it's like it's either a really almost impossible fight or very easy, and this one definitely falls into the very easy side, so that's nice.
We see Dr. Spin actually taking on the Golbez battle to get the old man Tella.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If getting access to exit is really nice early in the game, so that might be the reasoning behind going through this. They're going to only have one character standing after the shadow, or two characters standing after the shadow eats one of them. Did Doctor find a Star Veil, perhaps? And by the way, the package is what Simbu got for defeating Baigan.
Getting the package early is actually pretty much a lot of players will skip using the package if they already have a full party just because there's a big cutscene. But with the limited characters available right now, especially knowing one of them is Tella, I can see a lot of them using this package.
It doesn't look like Doctor did have a Star Veil in hand, so falls to the Golbez fight is going to have to reload, and I wouldn't be surprised, gets back in the airship, not trying that again. We do see Simbu heading up to Fabul to take on the boss that's in the Fabul Gauntlet spot. And it looks like it's going to be Mylon and the Ghasts. It looks like Simbu had a big bomb in hand to take care of all those Ghasts, and now just needs to wait until Mylon complains about his body.
And just FYI for our viewers here, another of the new flags in this version of the randomizer is the flag, which changes the sprite of the package cutscene. So if any of these players go to check the package character, you're going to see maybe some weirdness going on in that cutscene. Random folks will be burning down this village rather than the bomb.
Speaking of weirdness, you might also be seeing the Fab flag in effect with Rydia's purple hairdo. So just changes up the color of the sprites. Pretty nice hairdo for Rydia there.
Yeah, you maybe might think, hey, this is just a silly cosmetic flag, but actually there's another flag in this version of the randomizer in that duplicate characters can happen, so that the different color schemes actually can help you tell apart the different, like if we get more than one Rydia, the other one is going to look different. So you can tell which one's kind of your higher level one, which one you've taught spells to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see Simbu completed the Fabul fight against Mylon and was rewarded with the Twin Harp. Oh, and we do see that hot flag getting out, and it looks like the character for the package is Edge. So Choco is going to be very happy to go in and do this, as is Flurry here.
Yeah, Flurry and Choco. I know Choco also did the Jin at Hobbs, so pretty good Rydia, and Edge is a nice get. Definitely worth sitting through the cutscene and the battle that they're going to have to fight through in Kaipo to get it.
Yeah, Edge has is very versatile, has very good attack power, has the AoE attack with his flame right away. Very versatile in the early game, and in the late game, with the right weapons, can do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, in fact, I know Edge pretty much makes a lot of the above ground bosses pretty easy just by himself. So, and in these flags, we needed to find a key item before we would find him. That was one of the flags. Edge and Fusoya are a little harder to find on these settings just because they start at those higher levels with better abilities.
And now we're going to see the boss that's replacing the Kaipo guards. One of the easiest bosses. You want to see a difficult boss here so that you don't have to face it later in the game, where they're going to be in a much more difficult position.
Right, and most players will never even see the boss in here just because the package is so rarely used. Ooh, it's a moon boss. That's definitely we want to see. Yes, very easy D Lunars. Good to see them here versus really anywhere else.
Yeah, Choco using that big bomb to take care of those Lunars. Whereas Flurry's just going to fight because the HP is just low enough that don't even have to worry about the counter.
Yeah, usually our players have to worry about the D Lunar AI because if you hit them with normal fight commands, they wall themselves and start bouncing viruses at you, which hurt a lot, but no problem here. This very low HP value spot.
Doctor has been also working to get Edge, so looks like a lot of our runners are making that choice to invest in the package early, despite the cutscene. And Simbo did find Star Veils for sale in the Agart shop, so might decide to go back and get Tella on the top of Mount Hobbs now that he can reflect Galvez's magic. But instead seems to be heading to Baron.
Simbu's trying to rule out the overworld shops here, trying to make sure he knows what's available. Needed the tents, gonna do Baron in, but also still hasn't done the package, so it doesn't have Edge. Ashura here, pretty easy spot because another low HP spot, maybe 2 powers can get her. Just need to get lucky and have her not Cure 4 in between.
Yeah, definitely another one of these locations that you want to see the hard bosses like Ashura. Although having found Star Veils, she becomes a bit easier to deal with, but still rather not see her in a very difficult spot. It looks like Dr. Luge in the second spot there.
Yeah, sometimes players who are newer at the game may run up against Ashura and say, I don't have wall, how am I going to do this? Well, just use the Star Veil twice on the same person. You'll bounce your Star Veil off your Star Veil and hit her instead.
Yeah, just don't do it with a Moon Veil if you're planning on actually physically attacking Ashura. I've made that mistake before.
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV is a little infamous for not communicating enemy status to the player. So
Right.
you don't know, like, if you've accidentally blinked or moon veiled an enemy, you have no way to figure out what's going on until you realize, oh, I'm not damaging them.
Flurry now taking on the Mylan fight with Edge, now able to take out with that flame spell all of those guests as Chokosura does the same.
You'll notice that some of the players have renamed characters while others have the default names. That is also a new improvement with the new version of the randomizer. At the beginning of the game, before you start, you can change certain options such as your window color and whether joining characters are going to get random names or not from the title screen before you start your timer. That's just a quality of life upgrade that's been done.
There's also an in-game silly name generator, which I like to take advantage of as well. Looks like they get the pink tail for completing the Baron Inn, which will be nice once they find the hook.
Yeah, and I mean, Pinktail is definitely great with these flags because it's a guaranteed Adamant armor, which 90% of players are going to throw on their White Mage, which of course these players don't have the benefit of yet.
I mean, every character benefits greatly with the Adamant. I actually have been liking giving it to Yang because he doesn't get a lot of equipment that can affect his attack very much, but protecting your white mage is definitely a tried and true strategy as well.
Simbu going to get his edge now, and actually, I think Dr. Spin will be about to do Fabul. Flurry and Chokashira and Simbu all having twin harps, so we might get to see some music tonight too. Always a fan favorite.
We saw sirens and silk webs for sale in Toria. So very good items that Choco was able to find for sale there.
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV is one of the Final Fantasy games where debuffs are actually extremely useful, even for a mode like this where we're really only fighting bosses. Due to how it's programmed, the silk webs cause the slow effect. It's actually better than the slow spell. And in fact, it doesn't cause a debuff effect as in other Final Fantasies. It actually just works directly on the stat values of the enemies. So always nice, and it works on a lot of bosses that you wouldn't think slow should work on.
Yeah, a lot of the other debuffs are, a lot of the bosses are immune to, but slow is one that's generally going to be useful throughout the entire game. Now, the silk webs are kind of expensive, so you've got to pick and choose, but I like to have one at least for Zeromus.
Oh yeah, that is a favorite for players to nuke the first big bang on Zeromus and also make it a little faster to make sure you get safe on your Cure Furs.
And so, since the runner started right about when we went live today, which is nice because they were on time, we didn't get to talk much about the flags. We've mentioned some of the new ones, but this is one where the key items could be among the regular key item spots, or they could be within the summons or the moon bosses. So, if you're familiar with the old terminology, this is a K3 equivalent.
Right, and in addition to the fact that they're going to be looking in more potential locations, they also need an extra key item because usually the game only requires access to Zeromus and the crystal. This time they're going to need access to Zeromus, the Adamant ore, and the Legend Sword so they can create the crystal.
Yeah, sorry, I did misspeak. Sorry. Thank you, Scala, our restreamer tonight, correcting me. K2, not K3.
Yes, no trap chest tonight, which is going to be good for our runners because that can really add to the amount of checks you have to do.
Although they may open some trap chests because the item pool can sometimes be better from the trap chest than just the regular ones.
Yeah, the good thing tonight is with that Yang starts, and especially with getting Edge as well. Edge's initial equipment isn't the best, but it is definitely workable. And Yang doesn't really require any great equipment in order to deal great damage as long as he's got the levels on him. So at least if they get really unlucky, they still have those two guys to fall back on.
Yeah, and since they did find sirens, they'll be able to, once they get access to the Underworld, they'll have access to the egg grind. If they get the darkness crystal, they'll have access to the King Ryu grind on the moon. So they've got options to grind up Yang's Yang's fighting ability once they've got access to either of those locations.
We are actually running out of overworld locations. The only places left right now are Ordeals, Magnus Cave, where some of our runners are going to now, Baron, and also the Odin spot in Baron Basement, which is in our flags today. Although if progression is there, it's going to be real tough for them. That's a very high value stat spot.
Yeah, it looks like since we do have Chokosura heading over to the Magnetic Cave, we are going to hear one of the. It looks like we've already got the chat clamoring for the music, and Simbu right behind too. So we're going to hear some sweet tunes tonight.
Yes, and I noticed Dr. Spin was actually checking the treasure chest on Hobbs. That's a pretty rare check. Must be a little desperate to find something that can be used.
Well, I think the upside is like if you've got a way to cast Exit, it's not necessarily going to be that much of a time waste. Okay, so here we go.
Before the music starts, I'll just mention I did misspeak. I'm so used to the old flags that you can't have a progression blocked by Odin for Underworld on these settings.
Well, it looks like we've got some people in the chat naming the music. I was not familiar with this song, so shout outs to Scala Kitty mentioning Butterfly as the song here tonight.
And Chokosure even taking the time to check the harp to show the song and the remixer of the song for the fans.
And the Pale Dim fight here, since they've got good physical fighters, Yang and Edge here, not going to be too difficult. If you're relying on elemental magic, it can be tough, but they should be fine at this fight here, I would imagine. While Flurry is fighting Leviathan in the Baron pit. Leviathan.
All now when they did not going to tell us and make it so
Hello, and I'm back. Hopefully I'm sounding a little bit better now.
Now we see Flurry fighting D-Mist here. That's actually going to be good because under these flags with the free item in Bedward and Troya Castle turned off, D-Mist actually holds a key item. You just have to go check Mist Village afterwards, after you find the boss and defeat it.
D-Mist is an annoying fight too for this form where it becomes mist and you can't attack it. You can't even deal damage to it with other methods at that point either. So you just have to wait a little while for it to reform into the dragon form. On spots where the Mist Dragon has a lot of HP or is really fast, that can be very annoying.
Now we did have a Chokosura and Simbu grab the Adamant ore already. That's half of what they need to get the crystal. So that's 1 out of 3 items now that we were actually looking for.
Yeah, and everybody gets to hear that sweet music because it is required in order to complete it. And Flurry defeating the Mist Dragon sees Fusuya as the character reward for completing the Baron quest.
Yeah, this is a very starting to shape up to be a very nice party. Fusoya isn't the best white mage just because his HP growth never gets him quite into safe territory without over leveling, but definitely what they're looking for. This will let them get pretty much anywhere in the overworld and all of the underworld, especially with how many bosses they fought already. So very good find.
Yeah, you mentioned his HP growth isn't very good. Also, his MP growth is nil. It's static at that 190. So it's he doesn't have the pool to cast Cure 4 over and over and over again if it's going to be a long fight. So finding somebody like a Rosa is still going to be nice, but it's definitely doable with food. And we see the Magma Key as the key item reward, and he's going to check the D-Mist location as well, and gets a ribbon. So ribbon is a very useful equipment, very high magic defense, guards against status effects, just very useful, and anybody can equip it except for
Our players definitely breathing a sigh of relief there. Magma Key means no upper babble required. Sometimes can be a very tough boss depending on which boss is there. The stats are very good. So definitely happy to see that, I'm sure. Flurry wasting no time, going to go underground. The only question now is when to grind. Do you wait until you have 10 key items and therefore double the experience, or do you do a few battles first just to make your key item checks in the underworld that much faster?
I think a lot of it's going to depend on whether or not their Palom has learned Quake yet, because just like 1 or 2 grind fights in order to get Quake will make him just so useful throughout the entire second half of the run that it might just be useful. And you see, I think Flurry's going back to Toria. My guess is to buy a couple of those sirens, which were for sale here. So we'll see if that is in fact what's going on. And we see Choco is looting Baron Castle to try to find equipment, and we'll see if he decides to check out the Odin location as well.
Yeah, on these sort of settings, players are going to try to only have to buy their sirens once. So you'll see most players will just go as soon as they can muster enough money. They'll buy however many they think they need. If they think they're going to do their grind after 10 key items, then they'll be buying 15 or 16 sirens. If they think they're going to have to grind beforehand, then you'll see them spend the extra money to get 25 to 30 sirens.
Yeah, and we see Flurry pick up 20 sirens right now. So I doubt that he's going to do his entire grind right now, but we'll probably get the enough to get that Quake level. That's usually like the target for the early game. I mean, Flurry might have a different thing, but that would be my guess.
Getting coffins too in the other Troya shop to speed up the grind, and also just in case of some of the bosses that can actually be affected by coffin, can make mincemeat of some of those fights that otherwise may take a little longer.
Yeah, Baron and Kaipo guards, Dark Imps are a few that can be susceptible to that coffin item. Also, since there's no super powered character or extra damage against dragons at this point, probably just gonna use the coffins to kill eggs at first. But it looks like first Flurry is going to head down to the land of the summoned monsters. There is a chest that could potentially contain a key item there that's just free. You can just go down and get it. But also, we'll probably check out just to see who the bosses are at the bottom.
Most players like to come down here to the land of summoned monsters as soon as they get underground, because if you happen to find the pan here, you can then go straight to Sylph and get both the Yang checks at the same time rather than double dipping Sylph Cave, which usually would be another free check at this point as well.
Yeah, having access to another item shop down here is nice. I mean, there's just a lot of good things that you can get to early if you rush this when you get Underworld access. It looks like Flurry able to find the pass in that rat tail chest. So that is, of course, a shortcut to Zeromus through what was the nightclub in Toria.
Yes, and with the pass being available here in Land of Summoned Monsters, I gotta expect, number one, all of our players are gonna get it. So right now, they're hoping that the Legend Sword is underground, because if it's not, they're gonna have to find Darkness Crystal and go to the moon, which if they've got the pass, they're gonna be hoping they don't have to go to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the moon, there are advantages to the moon, but I think almost everybody would agree that it would be better if they didn't have to do that. It looks like that's going to be Mylon Z and the Antlion as the bosses in the Land of Summoned Monsters.
Yeah, Flurry noping out of that, just seeing what they were, getting out. I will say, if they happen to have to go to the moon, that's going to kind of play into their grinding choices, because if you're going to have to fight moon bosses anyways to find the crystal that you need, or the legend sword that you need, that's going to be a whole ton of experience. And if you grind and then you get that experience, you've kind of wasted some time in the interim because you didn't actually have to grind that much. So if our players think they're going to have to go to the moon, you'll see less egg grinding and more just fighting bosses on the moon looking for that item.
Yeah, it is one of these catch-22s, because you've got to grind enough that you can survive those boss fights that'll give you that experience, and finding that balance is really important, and that can be the difference between being really good at a race and still learning at a race.
Yes, and the only trap here that Flurry could fall into is hasn't checked the Twin Harp yet to find that Adamant ore. So if Flurry manages to find the Dark Crystal, it could be checking all the spots on the moon before finally only having Twin Harp left, do a really deep dive down some key items that he doesn't need.
One other thing to note, we see Chokasura jumped into the Octomam location, saw the Baron guards. Every time you defeat a boss with this flag set, Fusia gains another 3 spells and another 100 HP. So being able to clear out those early fights could earn him key spells that'll help throughout the rest of the game.
Yes, and if you have a bad memory like I do, you can just look at Fusoya's HP level. You don't have to remember how many bosses you've killed. When he's hit 1900 HP, he's a full power.
Looks like Simbu's thinking about taking on and is going to try fighting Mylon Z here in the Leviathan spot. And Flurry
I don't
is
know.
now
This is
doing
a
that.
very yeah, this is a very fast boss spot and also very powerful physically attacking, which is all Mylon Z does. So we're gonna see. Oh yeah, I gotta think this will be a reset.
Well, it kind of depends on how fast Simbu can get those illusions up.
Yeah, it takes 3 hits to drop illusion, so it looks like Mylon isn't fast enough to do that, even if it's hitting the same person. So actually, Simbu could power through this. It's going to take a bit, but I didn't see what spells Fusoya has yet. If Nuke is there, could be... Well, Fire 3 is good enough for Mylon Z.
Yeah, Fire 3 is going to do quite a bit of damage. I mean, this is a pretty high HP spot, but as long as Fu can stay alive to cast Fire 3 like 3 or 4 times, they should be able to take down this boss. And Rydia might even be able to get a Jin in there too, if Simbu has gone to Mount Hobbs to get that. Looks like Yang is still equipped with a Fire Claw. That's going to do extra damage too. I mean, Mylon Z's weakness to fire is a real vulnerability.
Yeah, and the good thing is with those illusions, Simbu can keep all the characters alive. It's a pretty good EXP spot, so that will kind of cut out some of the grinding, even if there's no key item.
Meanwhile, Dr. Spin is climbing Mount Ordeals, finding the Kaipo guards in the first Mylon spot.
Now, this is an interesting play because we haven't seen Cecil yet in the seed. We've already seen and discarded Tella, which are the 2 main reasons why you may do Ordeals. There are 3 bosses here for Fusoya to power up on, but only 1 key item checked. So it's kind of a risky play, but it could pan out.
Yeah, if this gets you the Darkness Crystal or the Legend Sword or the Path to the Legend Sword, this could give Dr. Spin a huge advantage. But if not, it's a big time waste. An Octoman at the Mylon Z spot with the back attack.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to fight all 3 of these bosses and then find like a Spoon or Sand Ruby when, you know, we're looking for progression, not, or even worse, a hook.
Supremacy has to, if the Adamant was at Twin Heart, and yes, the Adamant was at the Twin Heart location, yes. Simbu is able to take down the Mylon Z in the Leviathan spot. Gets a good amount of experience, and we'll see what we got. Meanwhile, Flurry is taking on Dwarf Castle, and the first boss being Plague.
Would have liked to see Flag in the second of these spots, just because it has much lower health, but we'll see. Not looking good on that count. Manages to eke it out though.
That strong Fu is helping a lot there.
Mount Ordeals boss being Rubicante. Good spot, 1000 HP, get him out of the way.
Oh, it looks like Rosa is the character in Dwarf Castle. Very nice find. Rosa has basically everything that you want out of a white mage. Good white magic power, good HP growth. You can tweak her to be an offensive or defensive character. Very useful overall.
And access to equipment that, quite frankly, it makes the other characters jealous. Like, can get early tiaras, can equip a lot of equipment that maybe your other mage characters can't equip. Simbu about to make the same find. We'll see. I wonder which character Simbu's going to drop for Rosa. I should note that another of the new flags that's activated in this race is the rescue flag. So any dropped character can actually be picked up again later in Mysidia, either in the Crystal Room or the Tower of Prayer. So if if someone has second thoughts and wants to go back to get a character they've already dismissed, that's possible, and could even cause a slingshot because low-level characters will gain more EXP under these flags as well.
Looks like the prize for completing Dwarf Castle was an Avenger's Sword. If they find Cecil or Kane, that's a very useful weapon, but they're really hoping to find some progression at this point.
Yeah, they're digging deep now. I mean, if they were to find Cecil or Kane on the moon, I would. It would be a toss up whether they would actually take them or not at this point, because by the time they get there, they're going to have to go back and regrind that character a little bit too. So we'll see what decisions they make.
Now, I missed it. Did you see what item Doctor of Spin got for completing Ordeals?
You know, I didn't, but I don't believe it was a key item. Chat saying it was an Artemis bow, which is going to be useful for Rosa, but you know, not what the players were looking for to do those 3 bosses.
Not just Rosa. Almost anybody who can equip a bow and arrow can use an Artemis bow. It's good enough that almost anyone can use it. Lesser bows, I think Rosa with the aim really helps, but Artemis bow is just very good overall. We see Flurry is making that play to check out the Odin location, finds a dark elf there.
Now, I think this is going to be a good move for Flurry, especially if there's an item here, because the second phase of Dark Elf is a really kind of reliant on physical attacks. The Demist at this spot, the Dragon Breath, I should say, isn't going to do that much damage. It's the physical attacks to worry about, but we already seen illusions are available, so easily to set that up so you can't get hit.
Also, if their Fusia has learned weak, the Dark Dragon is weak to weak. So, and Simbu is climbing the tower, the lower tower of Babel, that is, without the tower key. So is only going to be able to access one of the item locations there.
This is also kind of a bold play. I mean, a lot of characters would prefer not to do this until they had tower key, unless they checked everywhere else first. But of course, if the tower boss is an item you need, then of course, all of a sudden you're ahead of everyone else. So it's pathing decisions like this that can really make or break of the randomizer race.
Yeah, and you see different runners like Doctor of Spin making that Ordeals play, where Simbu is making this tower play. Either one of and Flurry making the Odin play. They're all different choices that they make, and one of them could be right and get a big advantage here. And that's how these K2 races really go.
Yeah, and we see Flurry taking advantage of the lack of the boss flag being set on the second half of Dark Alpha. Bosses in this game have a flag that's set to let you not be able to use things like stone, weak, stop on them, but for some reason they didn't program in the second half of Dark Elf to have it. So right now this Dark Elf is stopped, so he's just gonna leisurely destroy it. And there is a flag in this randomizer that Board Face has programmed in that actually adds that boss flag back to bosses that don't have it, but that is not on in this race, so you're taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, and another boss that is vulnerable to stop are the purple dolls in the doll fight that Simbu is fighting, but Quake will take care of them too.
Unfortunately, Flurry just finds a white robe. It is one of the best armors for Rosa, but not, once again, not what he was looking for.
And while that's happening, Simbu finds Mazamune as the reward for climbing the tower, which is going to be nice for Edge, but again, it's not progression. So neither of those spots panning out for Flurry or Simbu. So we still have a couple spots left. Nobody has spot Antlion in the Ashura spot yet, and nobody has anybody checked. I haven't seen anybody go down to Sylph and talk to Yang and then go to Sheila 1.
Yeah, we've had Flurry's gone down there to talk to Yang, but I don't think he's gone to Sheila to actually check it.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Mr. Ubik in the chat. We do have the Darkness Crystal from Sheila 1. We must have missed that one. Sorry about that, runners.
And Flurry's actually turning that Dark Crystal in, speaking of that. So a lot of checks opened up there, plus a shop check in the form of the Naming Way shop. I wonder, do you think Flurry's going to check Cave Bahamut first? Check that out for the infamous value at Cave Bahamut.
I think that's well, we'll see. I think most runners tend to go towards the Lunar Subterrane first, just because there's so many places that it could possibly be. But it's that same choice. Like if you go there and that's where it is, you're in a huge advantage. We see Simbu. It looks like Simbu's following suit. Has talked to Yang and now is probably going to go talk to Sheila and get that Darkness Crystal.
Yeah, and in fact, under these flags, there's 6 different.
Yeah, 6 different boss locations. Yeah. And Flurry's walking around as a pig. And we do see Choco is fighting the Antlion in the Ashura spot. This could be tough. Nuke from Fusia is going to help. Getting that blink on Fu to protect him, because he's going to be the most important character in this fight. Doctor spinning that flag fight, going for the Dwarf Castle. And Flurry is heading to the Lunar Palace. We're going to see who the character is there. Yeah, I don't know if this is the character that you want, but we'll see. Oh, trolling us, saying gonna get rid of Edge? No. And we know the real reason. We haven't found the spoon yet. And so Flurry is heading down into the Lunar Subterrane, not checking for value at Cave Bahamut. So we'll see what happens here. And it looks like he's going down the long way, not checking the Pale Dim location either.
That's an interesting route. A lot of players like to check that one first because if you fail it, you just pop back out to the top again. Not a big deal. Whereas if you go deeper in the dungeon and fail, all of a sudden you've got a big walk.
I was missing, like, I think according to the tracker, did I miss? Was that the Antlion fight? It gave the sword. Shokasura has just forged the crystal. And we know that the Darkness Crystal's on Sheila 1. If he needs to talk to Yang and then talk to Sheila, and he'll be in go mode.
Well, there's no need because he already has the pass. Flurry barking completely down the wrong path. There's nothing necessary on the moon. This is a big, big get for Chokosura. This is going to hurt for Flurry once they realizes that there's nothing he needs on the moon.
And that's the thing, that antlion looks very scary in that Ashura spot. But Choco able to take it down?
Well, yeah, and the same illusion trick works on Antlion as worked on the other bosses that they've used it on. So that this is gonna hurt. It's gonna feel bad.
Yep, getting those sirens ready to preparing that grind.
Rosa is the white mage that is Zeromus ready with the lowest amount of levels as well. So very good position for Ashura right now.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of heavy hitters as far as like a berserk strategy, but does have a party that is definitely able to complete the game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't discount a more hybrid strat. For those who are a little unfamiliar, there's two major strats for Zeromus. One is to use berserk physical attackers, and the other is to reflect spells off your own characters so that Zeromus doesn't counterattack, and also his health refill halfway through isn't triggered. Kind of the hybrid strat is doing the berserkers, but then also timing a reflected spell at just the right time to kill him before the health refill. And Chokosura is one of the top players for this randomizer. I can see an attempt to be made for that.
So let's just recap what we needed in order to complete it. We were given the Baron key to start off with this run. Using that Baron key, you could go to Baron Castle and get the Magma key. Using the Magma key to get underground, you could find the pass and the rat tail chest in the underground. Also, while you're in that summon monsters area, you fight the Ashura fight, which was the Antlion, to get the Legend Sword. You also by completing the Fabul fight, you got the Twin Heart. Using that Twin Heart in the Magnetic Cave gave you the Adamant, which you can then forge with the Legend Sword into the crystal and use the pass to fight Zeromus. That is our path to victory. Yeah, and Flurry is now fighting Ogopogo on the moon, and yeah, just too bad for Flurry right now. That's really the we all know that that's a bust at this point.
Yes, and that's heartbreaking to see when you know everything the player is doing is for nothing. The only good thing, I guess, is that Flurry will probably get to skip all, if not some, of the egg grind, because the EXP from these bosses is going to be enough to be almost at Zeromus level already.
Yeah, Flurry is quite a bit behind because Flurry never used the Twin Harp in the Magnetic Cave either, so still missing both pieces to forge the crystal. Looks like Simbu's also gone up to the moon before taking on Antlion down there.
Meanwhile, Dr. Spin is going, I believe, to face these two now. Gonna try Mylon Z first. Oh.
Thinking about it. Okay, does decide Mylon Z first.
I think that's definitely the choice I would make as well.
Yeah, I would make that choice as well, yeah.
Yeah, we can see even White Mage Rosa putting in some work on Mylon Z there, over 1,000 damage. Very nice.
Yeah, that's probably with that Artemis bow attached, so. So while we're watching this grind right now, I'd like to give thanks to those helping us with this restream tonight. Scala Kitty is our restreamer. She's also very important. Final Fantasy Free Enterprise in general, all these extra sprites and artwork you see, most of it's her. We also have Elijah Brapp doing the tracking tonight. And it sounds like it's his first time doing tracking for Free Enterprise. So thank you very much for stepping up tonight.
Yes, and actually, our tracker tonight saving us a couple of times, really on top of it, and while we were missing all sorts of stuff. So thanks a lot for that again.
Yeah, I sometimes tend to yap when I should be watching. So, but that's why they put me on the mic, because I'm a yapper. At Ogopogo, given some problems, it's a tough fight, and it's this is one of those fights that you want to see in those early spots because there's a lot of locations where Ogopogo is extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah, I think of the moon bosses, the only one that I would actually like to see on the moon is probably Plague. The rest I really want to see on Earth.
Yeah, that's a good point. It also depends on how you're set up. Sometimes Lunar can be fine, but that kind of depends on party composition and everything too. So.
Yeah, and it's a shame we haven't seen Wyvern tonight. That's the infamous moon boss that opens up the fight with Mega Nuke. Always entertaining to see how quick players will reset from that.
Yeah, Wyvern being the boss that you don't want to fight anytime. Beginning and middle, end of race, doesn't matter.
Yeah, because basically the only strategy if Wyvern's Mega Nuke is turned on, which it is an option in the randomizer to have it turned off, is to hope you outspeed the first turn so that you can get a Star Veil up and reflect that Mega Nuke back at him.
Flurry making a trip back to the blue planet here. We'll see if he decides to head towards Ashura at all. Oh, looks like found the pan on the moon, so now it's going to go whack Yang with it.
We'll see. I'm hoping Flurry thinks, well, I'm down here. I've got some more levels. Let me try that Summon Monster boss.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing where it's like, even if you are going back and forth between the moon and the blue planet, you don't want to do it too many times because just getting into the big whale and the cutscene between the two takes time. You want to do it as few times as possible between the two locations.
Hey, but as a bonus, we'll get to see what item Sylph gives and what item Sheila 2 gives. Ooh, Tower Key, another rabbit hole for Flurry to potentially fall down.
I totally agree with you there. You see, Doctor of Spin is fighting that Antlion fight now, so is going to get rewarded with that Legend Sword once completed.
Now, interesting to note here, Doctor of Spin has some levels over the other runners so far, so it's going to be a shorter grind remaining, even though, well, Chokashira heading to Zeromus right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things is like with Rydia in the party, you know that like if you're going to try to grind Rydia up to enough HP to survive unnerfed Bing Bangs, you're going to be grinding for a long time. And I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I don't think Chokazura is at the 10 key items for the double experience. So that's going to be even longer.
Yeah, Flurry has 9 key items, so there's a bonus of going to the moon. Perhaps could get at least a shorter grind out of it.
All right, so now we get to see who are we fighting. The infamous Z flag. What final form will Zeromus take?
Chat supplying the favorite line of the community: "Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?" Ooh, Simbu fighting CPU on the moon while we see about Zeromus here.
Oh, we've got Cruella de Vil. A villain indeed. I think Cruella wants to make a fur coat out of Fusia's beard.
Unknown availability in chat saying, Cindy La Permis, I can see your true colors, meaning I'm going to have that song stuck in my head the next time I do this fight.
It doesn't bother me. I'm a big Cyndi Lauper fan, so. All right, now Shoko in this final fight looks like getting a wall up early, so it looks like we are going to see some reflect strategy going on. Looks like there's also been Berserk on edge, so we've got a hybrid strategy in the way.
Flurry is checking that tower key, checking the boss right now. Dr. Spin getting the Darkness Crystal, but is Dr. Spin going to check the leftover spots on Earth first? Because Dr. Spin still needs to go to Magnus Cave, and there's a lot of pitfalls in this seed, so gotta watch out.
Yeah, it looks like Dr. Spin is headed towards the Odin fight at this point. And this is the thing about with Rydia in the fight instead of Palom, you're seeing a lot less ideal spells being reflected here. You're seeing a virus being reflected from Rydia, and that's just not nearly as potent as Quake would, or excuse me, as Nuke would be if you level up Palom.
Yeah, Rydia just takes too long to get Nuke. I mean, actually, I would be surprised without these big bangs getting nerfed. Rydia is actually not even going to live either at that HP level. For those who don't know, if you manage to hit Zeromus with a black magic spell in between Zeromus shaking and casting Big Bang, it actually changes Zeromus's magic stat in order to do the counterattack nuke, which makes the Big Bang happen at a weaker damage level.
And it's not just black magic. I mean, most things that you target him with, other than like a regular attack, will prompt that counter nuke to do it. Silk webs are often used. Slow spells. You could even throw like a Cure 2 item at them, and that'll work too. But black magic is usually the preferred, because then you're harming Zeromus as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting sometimes that when you start to look at the guts of this game and how they programmed, especially the way counterattacks work, a lot of bosses in this game have specific counterattacks to specific abilities being used in them. For example, Zeromus with the black magic, or white magic actually does a different counterattack, or Ogopogo doing specific counters for specific elements. They took a lot of time to program all that in, but then left so much else on the table. It's just kind of a funny fact of Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, getting everything that they wanted to work, working as well as they could, I think is the way that I think of how this is programmed. However, when something is reflected onto Zeromus, that doesn't prompt a counter nuke, so that doesn't change any magic power. Oh, and Flurry going down yet another rabbit hole. Using the tower key gave the Luca key, so now heading down the sealed cave.
The only benefit here is that if it's an item that Flurry doesn't need, they can do a little bit of save scumming here, but unfortunately, if it happens to be the Earth Crystal, he's going to have to still fight the boss because he doesn't know if the Earth Crystal is something he needs or not. So,
yeah.
Simbu here is back on Earth to check the pan as well. So left some moon bosses on the table, but is now going up tower just like Flurry did. Chat is right. You have to follow the chain if you've got it, but man, it just hurts to see him going this route.
Yeah, you've got to remember the runners, of course, don't know that Antlion is where they need to go in order to get that Legend Sword, and for Flurry, doesn't know that the Twin Harp is what you need to cash in order to get Adamant. So they're going down what was given to them the most recently.
Well, if you're Flurry or if you're Simbu, what you're hoping is that you made the moon play and that was the right play, and everyone else is now far behind you, because if you had to do this chain on the moon and no one else did, now you're ahead. So
that's absolutely it. That's the way that's the gamble that you're doing. And Flurry getting the hook.
I know as far as my play strategy in this game goes, I'm a middle of the road player of this game. So I know right from the get-go, I'm going to have to make some risky plays in order to try to make something happen that the other players aren't doing, rather than trying to beat them at the path they are doing.
All right, we're in media phase for Choco. The end of this run is coming up. And there's the flash. Chokosura has completed the race and wins the community race first finisher of everyone running tonight with a time of 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 6 seconds. Let me see if Choco wants to come in for an interview.
While we're waiting on Flurry, or while we're waiting on Choco, I should say, Flurry finding Odin in sealed cave. So not even a pushover here just to get that check done.
And it looks like we'll have Choco in a few minutes here.
Doctor of Spin making the moon play, checking Cave Bahamut, which is also another bad rabbit hole. So at least we'll see what boss is here. It could be interesting at the very least. That's a Wyvern at Bahamut. That's not going to happen. Now that Flurry is aware that Odin is here in Sealed Cave, though, should be not an issue at current levels. Interesting to note, nobody found the hook to turn in that Pinktail, except now Flurry has a hook from Sealed Cave. So at least, once again, I know it's almost insult to injury, but at least Flurry's going to have 10 key items and an Adamant armor. So once finally gets the right items, it's going to be a quick finish.
And we do have Chokosura here for an interview. Choco, GG and congratulations on the first phase finish.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. So what did you think of this seed overall?
Uh, it wasn't bad of a seed really. I thought I made some pretty bold calls early, like when I went to Cave Magnus. Basically, I was just thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to do a cutscene anyway between Cave Magnus or Barren Castle or Ordeals. So I just decided to pick one, pretty much.
Well, the chat was very happy that you went that way too, because we always like to hear music.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, only two of our featured runners made that same decision, and you were the first one to fight the Antlion for that Legend Sword. What was your reasoning there?
Well, I figured since a sewer spot has less HP, I had Nuke with Fu, and I had Edge and Yang to do a little bit of damage, so I figured I might as well try it. I knew I was gonna get hit hard by him, so I just, did my best to try to keep Fu alive so he could pile on the damage.
Yeah, I saw you making good use of Blink there in order to keep Fu alive and just smash it down until done. And it looks like we have Simbu making that fight now too, so Simbu might be getting that Legend Sword as well. Yeah, it seemed like you got Fusia and Edge pretty early in this seed too. Did that do you think that might have been why you decided to make the play for Antlion?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, if I didn't have Fu, I wouldn't have even bothered, to be honest. Because I knew I didn't have the damage to take to do those spots anyway.
Sure.
I was really glad when I saw Fu.
Did you have any other thoughts about this at all?
No, I'm just glad I didn't go up Ordeals. Like I was thinking about going up Ordeals, but once I saw the Adamant, I just decided to, not bother with it.
Didn't have to even think about it.
Yeah, I didn't have cease or anything. So.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on your run.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, and thank you for being restreamed tonight.
All right, no problem. You guys take care.
All right, take care. All right, Motas, while I was interviewing Choco there, it looks like Simbu did get his Legend Sword, and he is forging the crystal right now as well.
Yeah, finally getting the same direction there, but unfortunately, Dr. Spin going up the moon rabbit hole just like the other two. So what was looking like a pretty good choices for Dr. Spin now going to fall into the same traps.
Yeah, that lack of cashing in that twin harp is really just grinding at this fight. So, or at this seed for Dr. Spin and Flurry.
Yeah, Simbu just going to need a few level ups here, and then is going to be ready to go already in the mid to high 30s.
It looks like Flurry is checking for value in Cave Bahamut now.
Chat noting we do have the spoon flag on tonight, but unfortunately we won't get to see the equipable spoon in action because none of our players took Edward. I can't blame them. The spoon does have attack power of 255, but unfortunately Edward's stats are still garbage, so it doesn't deal the damage that you would think a weapon with that attack power should deal.
Well, Flurry got punked by Wyvern in the Bahamut spot there, eating a Mega Nuke and getting a party wipe there. We'll see if Flurry decides to make another try, see if they can get a Star Veil off before Mega Nuke goes. It looks like they're going to try again, adjusting that battle speed, changing their anchor in the middle, going to try to get that Star Veil off.
Now, we also have an interesting fact here in that all of our players, they can't see other people's feeds, but they can see the race chat channel where Chokoshura has put the .done command to signify at the first winning runner. So at this point, not only are players thinking about their own strategy, but they're thinking about, he's already done at 1 hour and 7. So where does that mean that he went? They're trying to game that out now to say, well, if I went to the moon and he's done and I'm not even close to ready, he must have gone a different direction. That's what should be going through a player's minds at this point. Managed to get one off, so at least a one-of character will live. But the problem is that Wyvern then uses attacks reflected from itself to attack you afterwards. So the same trick doesn't save you for the whole battle. You still have to survive regular flares, or I should say nukes, later.
Nuke, flare, they're basically the same spell, just depends on what game you're playing, right?
Yeah, it's very strange. The English version of Final Fantasy IV is also infamous for changing the names of certain spells, like Flare is now Nuke, Holy is now the white spell. You have a lot of the other white and black magic spells with names that are unfamiliar to later Final Fantasy players, partially because of the character limit in this game and partially because of Nintendo of America decisions as far as the translation went.
Yeah, good old Nintendo of America when it comes to the old school Final Fantasy games. But, so sometimes when they do their... sometimes their changes and the translation and everything gives you a use booty bard. So it's all good there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Dr. Spin having trouble with these dark imps has forgotten or forgot either that the boss flag is on or forgot that coffins actually work on these guys. So struggling along with just could use 3 coffins to kill all of them.
Or an hourglass to stop them in their tracks would be nice too. Ooh, Simbu. Looks like Simbu might be satisfied with his grind back in the airship. If he heads straight to Toria, then we probably have a Cruella de Villamus. I think it was just Cruellamus, but without saying her last name, it just doesn't feel like it's the full character.
Flurry still trying to work Wyvern over at Bahamut spot here. The only good thing about the later part of the battle is as long as your party's pretty fast and you have life potions, which Flurry does, you're in no danger of dying because it can only attack one person at once. But still, it's going to be a long fight, especially if it keeps popping the black magic users.
Yeah, and having the turning the battle speed down all the way is really helping with that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of an advanced technique to mess with your battle speed in this game, but it can really help because the way the ATB system works in Final Fantasy IV is kind of arcane. It doesn't just change the speed of your characters, it also changes how the commands work and interact with each other because the game runs an ATB queue or what we call an action queue that's always happening in the background. And sometimes this helps you, like in the case of berserk characters, because their commands are entered for them to make that attack instantly, which actually helps you a lot when it comes to overspeeding opponents. You can get in a lot of extra attacks over the course of a fight. But when it comes to a fight like this, you've sped it down so that you can get the Star Veil off, but now you're kind of sitting here waiting while actions happen.
Yeah, so yeah, as you say, it helps you in things like Berserk's characters, and it hurts you in things like Plague's count timer, and you can see those ticks, tick, tick, tick. Sometimes it's like, it's going down from 10 to 5, and I haven't even entered one character. Uh-oh, Doctor got the Earth Crystal. Oh no, another rabbit hole. Alright, and Simbu has now transformed into Cruella. Well, Simbu didn't transform. Simbu transformed Zeromus into Corellimus. So, let me get my verbs right.
Now we'll see. Yeah, unfortunately, Dr. Spin not heading out. Well, maybe it's good, but either way, Dr. Spin's going to go down to try to fight the remaining 3 bosses in the Lunar Underworld. So it's going to be a quick pull. Now, the only thing is, I can honestly see Dr. Spin making another bad rabbit hole choice because Earth Crystal, although it has 2 bosses, is faster to check than Twin Harp because of the Twin Harp cutscene. So if you're making the logical choice, you're going to pick Earth Crystal because it's a faster check.
It looks like we're also seeing that hybrid strategy from Simbu as bouncing nukes off of Corellimus here. And you see the difference that Choco had gotten through everything super fast, but had to be using viruses that were being reflected and was doing like under 2,000 points of damage with them, whereas that nuke did 9,000 damage from Palom there. So.
Yeah, and Simbu's party is in a really good spot. You see over 2,300 HP on Rosa. That puts her safe from all but the very biggest high rolls of Big Bangs. And the Palom there also with 1,800 HP. Not out of the woods on that one, but good enough to survive a majority of Big Bangs.
Yeah, and I mean that's the advantage of having, but the payoff is Choco was able to get through everything so much faster, so didn't have the luxury of seeing as many characters, doing as much grinding and everything like that, and that paid off for him in this case. But I think Simba's going to make quick work of Corellimus here. So
even the rare reflected white spell, that's some flexing there. Oh, in the flash from Simbu. So it turns out while Simbu was fighting, we had Moonblaze Wolf finish in second place with a time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 44 seconds. And then Simbu directly afterwards, 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 16 seconds in third place. GG to both of them.
I will see if we can get Simbu, if Simbu wants to come in for an interview.
While we're getting Simbu in here, looks like Flurry going down farther, fighting Evil Wall. Dr. Spin bouncing his head off this Ogopogo. They're running out of spots to check, so eventually they have to go back to Earth.
All right,
Also,
we do have Simbu in for an interview. Simbu, GG's.
Thank you.
How did you feel about this race, and congratulations on your third place finish?
Overall, it was kind of jetty for a Forge percent. I accidentally chose the wrong boss when I first went to the Fey March. I only had enough illusions to do one of them, and unlucky that I chose the wrong one, but other than that, everything went pretty good. I love that I got the refill skip on Zeromus. That was really nice.
Yeah, your Zeromus fight went very, very smoothly, I must say. So, did you have any any feelings about one thing that this seed definitely did was give you Fusia an edge very early? Do you think that was the big part of the jettiness, or?
Food definitely helped, but I mean, we got Fu and Edge definitely helps. But honestly, we just didn't have any really tough bosses to stop the Rydia and Yong, and we found key items early, and everything kind of led to itself. Like, it pretty much everything was pointing you in the next direction to go until you got underground, and even then, it kind of pointed you in the right direction with the pass sitting there. It's like, oh yeah, just come down here, get the pass, get the legend sword. As I said, I missed out on it the first time down there, but honestly, everything was just nice and lined up in a line for us.
Sure, and I can definitely see that. I think like the difference between you and Choco and then our other two featured runners today, Flurry and Doctor of Spin, the two of you who have completed now decided to make that play to the Cave Magnus and cash in the Twin Harp where the other two didn't. And I think like that was the one thing where it's like you've got a couple of places that you can go: Baron Castle, Cave Magnus, Mount Ordeals, somewhere like that. And if you make that choice there, then you're in that driver's seat. But if you don't, then you could be behind.
Okay.
Did you have any, like, what was your reasoning when you decided to go to Cave Magnus?
Well, honestly, I had just done the package and found Edge, and I knew Edge would eat through the boss, and I was also of the mind that, oh, I just showed off the -100 flag, maybe I should show off the music as well. So honestly, I was doing it for the fans. It's just like, and there's also the chance that you get something like Earth Crystal that naturally leads into Baron.
Sure.
Or I honestly wanted something that I could do Odin right after. Baron isn't the best play unless you have Odin, like something to go through Odin as well. So was holding out for some good stuff. I didn't get it. Odin was going to be the next spot I checked since Choco finished so fast, but yeah.
All right. Did you have any final thoughts on tonight's race?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, then I want to thank you for joining us, and thank you for being restreamed tonight. And GG on your race.
Thanks, guys. Fun.
While Simbu was with us for that interview, the last two players on stream are fighting through these last couple of moon bosses. We did have two more finishers. Ikir finishing 4th with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 32 seconds. And we also had Penguinator finish in 5th place with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 1 second. So GG to those two. Penguinator, of course, the person who helps organize the Monday night community races. So thank you for that as well, Penguinator.
Yeah, and we see Flurry was able to defeat those dark imps. Got that Earth Crystal. And Doctor has been fighting that CPU fight that we had seen before as well.
Yeah, and I believe this is Dr. Spin's final check on the moon. So after this, both of these players should be pretty much good to go down. The only question is if they're going to check Earth Harp or Earth Crystal first, and are they going to check those before they go back to Land of Summon Monsters? They're both in great shape to beat that boss. If they recall that and want to go check it, now's the time.
Yeah, and Dr. Spin doesn't have to go back to the Land of Summon Monsters. Has that Legend Sword, but definitely still needs to complete that Cave Magnus. And it looks like we do have a 6th place finisher, Fred Coughlin, finished in the time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 2 seconds. So GG to Fred. And now,
I think,
go ahead.
I think with these settings, seeing this many players finishing under an hour and a half is pretty good, and also going to be a clear signal to the remaining 11 racers that, oh, hey, I don't think the moon is the play here.
Yeah, either that or like it should have like Doctor spins down in the Ogopogo spot fighting CPU. Like if you this many people are fighting this far down, they probably didn't all go down to that Ogopogo spot in order to get something required. So it kind of depends on whether or not you've got your eye on that chat and you're seeing people finish or not. That can be a big clue. We do have Flurry heading back down to the land of summon monsters, so looks like he is going to fight that Ashura fight, or it's going to be Antlion in the Ashura spot. So at this point, with all the levels that he's gained on the moon, it shouldn't be a very difficult fight at this point anymore. I mean, Antlion will still hit hard, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop him from being able to defeat the Antlion.
Yeah, and at this point, the money is basically infinitely available by this point of the game. So if more illusions are required, that's no problem. It just wastes some time having to find the shop they were in and get some more. And actually, Dr. Spen with some interesting tactics here. Normally, you're going to see players avoid killing both the attacker and defender orbs on CPU because CPU then uses a move that basically auto kills. But in this spot, looks like the party is vastly outspeeding CPU, so just toss some life potions. And, well, actually, it looks like I missed the beginning. There it goes, the Globe 199. So the party's outspeeding the CPU by quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few locations that I feel CPU is genuinely dangerous as long as you've got a method to heal. The question is how long is it going to take in order to defeat this fight? Because if you kill just like the standard strategy would be to kill the defender that's healing the CPU and just wail on the CPU after the defender's down and just eat those mazers from the attacker, and then heal every now and then. But the CPU is considered in the back row, so unless you've got like long-range weapons or have glitched yourself to deal back row damage, your main fighters are going to be dealing less damage to it, and your spellcasters are going to have a hard time because CPU uses wall. Now, if you want to do big damage like Quake, then you're going to be killing both of the things, and you just have to eat those Globe 199s, which is a valid strategy too.
There is a niche strategy for this fight that you'll see runners use if they find this boss in an earlier location where they have access to float and Quake, but not any other forms of good damage besides Quake, where you bounce a float off of one of your own reflects. You hope it hits the attacker orb, and that way you can Quake the CPU without killing the attacker orb.
Yeah, I mean, that would work. And that's one of the weird things about CPU, because you can see them like kind of bouncing up and down like they are floating, but they're not considered flying enemies. They don't have the float stat. So there's just a lot of bizarre things about this game.
Oh, it gets even weirder because the game has two float statuses. One is the float status that makes you immune to earth damage, and the other is the float status that makes you appear to be floating. CPU has that, which is why the sprites are bobbing up and down, but it doesn't have the actual status effect.
Well, it looks like that dart just took down the CPU, so it just needs to get the attacker and defender down, and then this fight will be over. And hopefully, Dr. Spin will be heading back to the land of summon monsters, or excuse me, the Cave Magnes. Flurry has also picked up the Legend Sword, but is still looking for that Adamant. Also needs to go to the Cave Magnes.
Dr. Spin getting another tail from the CPU, but no hook to use those tails. And while they're going out, you can't exit from these crystallized screens. You have to go back a screen and then exit. But while that's happened, Error has finished in 7th place with a time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 43 seconds.
GG's to Error. So Flurry is heading up to the Toria area. Hopefully we'll be going north and not into the castle. Going to the castle looks like gonna head up to the Tower of Zot. That's too bad. And Dr. Spin might have skipped that pale dim location, so heading back down to the lunar subterranean is making that left path to the pale dim area. So it looks like there's one more boss to defeat down here before full clearing this moon, and realizing, well, probably doesn't realize that it's nothing because it has that earth crystal, but we know as viewers that it's nothing. So while these runners are going down these rabbit holes, I just want to once again give some thanks. First of all, to our 4 featured runners tonight: LQ Flurry 14, Doctor of Spin, Simbu, and Chokosura. They're all great runners. Definitely recommend following them. And then tonight we have the Princess of Pixels herself, Scala Kitty, doing our restream, and Alij Brap doing the awesome job of tracking tonight. As they're definitely, give them some love, as well as my co-commentator Motas.
Thanks for that, Rex. We can see here in Zot, it's going to be the only item left that it could be up here is Sand Ruby. So Flurry's going to see that and say, oh, no thanks.
Flurry could take a second edge. We do have character duplication is allowed, so you can have more than one of a character, and Flurry could take more than one edge. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. Decided against.
Yeah. Flurry gonna end up with a 16 out of 17 key items. The only reason it's not a 17 out of 17 is it didn't get to the rat tail from the final boss on the moon. Zyrak now finishing in 8th place with a time of 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 54 seconds.
GG's to Zyrak.
Penguinator in chat with those bad edge puns. Not having it.
Not a surprise that the boss Kinazo in this Valvalus spot goes down very fast with this high-level party that Flurry's assembled. Flurry rewarded with an Excalibur. Oh, too bad.
With no Cecil in sight.
But it does look like Flurry's heading right back to the Toria area. Now should be heading north. Yep. Gonna finally cash in that Twin Harp. and get the Adamant.
Doctor Spin turning in the pan, getting that tower key. We'll see how close to 17 out of 17 Doctor Spin goes if he chases that.
Dr. Spin figures, might as well do my grind while I'm here. So yeah, Flurry heading down the cave, gonna fight Pale Dim and get that Adamant, which will put Flurry in go mode.
Right now, Dr. Spin's levels are already in pretty good position. Maybe feeling like wants to keep Rydia alive. Otherwise, the rest of the characters are in good spots. So just wants a little bit of security now at this point, I guess.
Yeah, it might be just to get a few extra, another 100 or so HP on Rydia. Survive a few more big bangs. Flurry also being nice and talking to the harp.
Dr. Cossack now finishing in 9th place with a time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 39 seconds. GG.
Flurry has now received the Adamant. Probably kicking himself that he didn't go here very early in the run.
Yeah, it hurts, but Magnus Cave is one of the locations, like Ordeals, that a lot of veteran players try to avoid if possible, just because there's a cutscene involved.
Yeah, we heard, Choco say that there was a number of places that you could go to, but all of them had that, cutscene aspect to them. There's the Cave Magnus, the Baron Castle, and Mount Ordeals that were all open at around the same time, and making that decision is really the difference in this race, as we can see here, because Flurry decided not to go that route and is this far behind.
Oh no, Flurry going up Ordeals now. This is the maximum amount of time that could be wasted.
I don't know if Flurry forgot that it's V1. It doesn't realize that he's got to forge the crystal. If Flurry might be thinking that the crystal is up here.
That's the only explanation, and that's heartbreaking. So if Flurry doesn't remember this, then depending on which way they go, they're gonna go back up to the moon, fight that last boss, get the rat tail, go get the hovercraft, go turn in the rat tail with it before they realize, oh crap, there's no items here.
Yeah, this is.
They're gonna turn in the rat tail for a sand ruby and then wonder where the heck the crystal is.
Yeah, this is truly unfortunate.
Doctor's been doing some white magic rearranging here just for ideal battles coming up. Scala Kitty reminding this is why you double check your flags before every seed. Also good to mention the 3 different game modes in this randomizer, which is regular, Forge the Crystal mode, and Giant % mode, all use different default colors for the menu screen. So that's a way that can indicate right when you're starting up, hey, something's different.
And we do see Flurry heading back to the moon. I think this is confirming our suspicions. He's going to go get that rat tail.
The dot duns are coming in fast and furious now. Smapety finishing 10th with a time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, 38 seconds. Then Karmakin in 11th with 1 hour, 45 minutes, 57 seconds. Then Christopher Warkin, 12th with a time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 16 seconds. So they're starting to roll in.
And we have Dr. Spin going through the tower, completing that.
Flurry heading all the way down the Lunar subterranean again to get that last boss that they missed before. Whew, it hurts. Because what's going through Flurry's mind is, okay, the crystal's at this final boss, which is just a screen away from Zeromus. I'll just go get it, walk the 2 screens, and be done. But that's not what's going to happen.
Right, and the thing is, like, not sure exactly how Flurry's going to take it when he sees that he gets the rat tail from this fight and not the crystal. Well, although no, I guess it's not. That's not the point, because he's going to see the rat tail and be like, "Oh no, I'm going to have to walk down here again," or we'll use the pass. But
I'm hoping when he sees the rat tail, or at least when he goes and turns the rat tail in, he's gonna realize, oh no, it's V1, and I need to go now.
yeah, we'll see. But it does look like Doctor Spin is now heading to Cave Magnus to get the to get that adamant that he needs in order to complete this. I know there have been times where I've stared at the screen and like, what did I miss? What did I forget?
Yeah, a lot of players who play this randomizer use not only an item tracker, but a little bit of an enhancement that lets you, click off spots you've already checked. But if maybe I can easily see you thinking, man, did I check something that I didn't actually check? And now you don't know. You can't remember. It's been an hour and 50 minutes. You can't remember where you actually went or not.
Yeah, was it this run? Was it the last practice feed? Which one did I do Cave Magnus? Which one did I do Ordeals? Which one did I forget to check the Rydia's mom? I mean, there's so many places where it's like, did I remember to do it? Did I talk to Sheila twice? There's so many things that you could be forgetting. And in Flurry's case, it's just going to be, is Flurry going to remember that it's V1?
Yeah, and the flags for these community races are announced ahead of time, so players can practice the flags. They just don't have the actual seed that's going to be generated for the race. So, once you've played enough practice rounds, now they all start to kind of blur together. Well, we will have at least a Dr. Spin moving towards Zeromus after this fight, as long as Dr. Spin doesn't make the same mistake Flurry's making, of course.
Right.
Dark Elf lying and calling it nasty music, which of course it is not.
If anything, this game proves that have no taste. Oh, me and Scarlett thinking the same thing. Interesting strategy that Flurry uses, using those kamikaze to deal as much damage as possible. With Yang having a very high HP pool, kamikazes can do a lot of damage in one shot.
Yeah, you see kamikazes used a lot more in what we call shopping seeds, where the shop items are free and also have a lot of powerful items, just because you can use golden apples to get your HP to max, and then you're getting max damage out of those kamikazes. But usually fire bombs are also available in the same seeds, which is preferred since they don't kill your character. But Yang's HP level is kind of weird. The game never anticipates that he'll reach these levels. But him and Sid have some crazy HP growth in their later levels, which can allow them to do things other characters can't during Zeromus, like eat a counter nuke and then also survive a big bang directly afterwards.
Doctor, no. No, Doctor. He's going straight to Zeromus. Did not visit Kokol.
Oh dear, he's going to get into the fight and it will be unwinnable. I didn't see if he saved after beating Dark Elf spot. While we're waiting to see the results of that, Dragus in chat and has also finished in 13th place with a time of 1 hour 52 minutes and 30 seconds, and PMAC Foul at 14th place with a time of 1 hour 52 minutes and 49 seconds. So GG to both of them. Ouch, and you can see this is actually what's happening to Dr. Spin happens a lot to players with the Forge the Crystal flags. They say, oh, I've got both of these items, I'm in go mode, but they never actually go and turn them in to get the crystal.
And Doctor's realizing that right now. And there's the reset. Well, he saved, but was that before or after he went? Hopefully it's after he went to
Flurry now also has turned in the tail to get the Sand Ruby, and going now to Baron Inn just to double check. Hey, did I actually do that? Finding out, yes, I did that. Still hasn't realized.
Yeah, Flurry is now at that thing like, what did I forget? Oh, using an exit, maybe no? Okay, Doctor has the crystal now. Wonderful.
Yeah, Flurry was making the right move based on what he thought, because that is a pitfall that happens a lot, even to pro players, where they'll talk to Sheila the first time and forget to talk to Sheila the second time, which is what he was going to go check. Now realizing.
And now both of our runners that are still on stream here going the right way, so that's good.
Oh, and at the levels they've gained from finding those moon bosses, Zeromus should offer no problem for these two.
Yeah, it looks like both of them are heading straight to Zeromus now. Oh no, Flurry is heading in Baron. Maybe he has some shopping? No?
Well, this is good. Looking at Dr. Spin's party, Rydia may go down pretty easily, but the rest of the party's looking good. Especially key here is Rosa's HP level is very safe. So as long as nothing untoward happens, should be good to go.
And Rydia at these levels could definitely help make the fight go faster, but it's definitely not needed in this party in order to complete the run. So if Rydia goes down, like reviving her would be a luxury, but not a necessity.
Yeah, especially with a double white mage party where usually you're going to want your least contributing character to die if you only have one white mage, because you're only going to get one Cure 4. But with two white mages, you can keep all 5 characters alive because you can cast Cure 4 twice for every Big Bang. If you're not a Final Fantasy IV expert, spells in this game, when they're divided across the whole party, they divide the damage or healing done between the whole party. So when you use a healing spell on your full party, it heals more if you have less characters alive.
Yeah,
Flurry
and the
now
amount that it heals
also using the
the amount that'll heal will be based on the white magic stat in this game. It's called willpower. which always confuses me because wisdom is the like cleric ability in Dungeons and Dragons, so I always get it mixed up. All right, yeah, and we got the Star Veil up for Flurry, going to be doing some reflecting. Not a surprise with Palom in the party. Probably not relying on it so much for Doctor's party with Rydia.
Yeah, and while these two players are finishing up, would be a good time to mention, if you like this game, think it's super interesting, but aren't involved yet, check out the Free Enterprise Discord. It's linked in the chat. We have a very good community. I can say without any doubts, it's one of the better speedrunning communities around. Everyone is very friendly and helpful, and it's very easy to get started. There's a lot of settings you can use. Your experience with the randomizer is very customizable, so if you're just starting out, you can make it however hard or easy as you want, and that makes it easier to get into it. And then you can join these community races. Everyone is invited, so I definitely suggest everyone check it out.
Yeah, and there are people there pretty much anytime, day or night, who are experts in the game and will be happy to answer almost any question you got. So check it out. It is a lot of fun. And also, if you see the link in the chat that Schologist gave, the World Series of Free Enterprise is coming up. There's a bunch of different categories, a bunch of different kinds of races that are going on. And even though it's only a couple months away, you can definitely get yourself familiar with this randomizer within that period of time. That would definitely be possible. Flurry just
Yeah, and this is a...
Ooh, but Doctor Spin just entered Meteor phase, so whenever Zeromus casts Meteor, Zeromus is almost dead.
Yeah, and we should also mention that this randomizer is being run at Awesome Games Done Quick this Thursday. Check out their schedule. The community worked really hard to get it there, and some of the best players around are going to be there, along with Poexel on couch commentary, I believe. And it's going to be a good time. We would suggest everybody check it out. There will be some bidding wars and some themes for it too. Oh, Scala correcting me. It's actually Friday. Looks like we're going to have Dr. Spin in here shortly.
And we have Doctor of Spin with us. GG's Doctor of Spin.
Thank you.
All right, so that ending of that went a little for you, but how do you feel about the seed overall?
It was a fun seed. I just played really bad at it.
Well, I don't know about bad, but I think like some of the were didn't lead you in the right direction early.
No.
So did you remember about the Twin Harp early? Was that always in the back of your mind, or did you just like not even think about it until near the end?
It was in the back of my mind, but I've been burned so many times running down and getting nothing that I figured that it would, especially on a moon seed, that it might not be worth going down right away. And I was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, both you and Flurry went and cleared the moon and did a lot of pretty much full cleared everything on the moon and just were not rewarded at all for that decision. So, I mean, that was kind of the big, what is it going to be that's going to let you win or lose this seed? And it's, if you went to the moon, then you're just wasting time up there this time.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
I
so
mean,
hard
you
to
didn't make a
win.
bad decision because, yeah, the math is on your side. So you made the mathematically based decision. It's just you got burned.
Yeah, a lot of times I leave the moon alone and keep getting burned. So yeah, just decided to change it up a bit, and it's the time that it didn't work out.
Yeah, and the first place finisher, Chokosura, who was also on the restream tonight, didn't go to the moon once. So. It looks like we're also joined by Flurry14. GG's Flurry.
Oh boy.
We kind of we felt your pain there.
So yeah, I told myself go over the flags, you know. Like, okay, League Forge. I practiced this last night.
Oh
And
boy.
I get so absorbed in what I was thinking about routing wise when I get that darkness crystal. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna. I'm tired of playing for like 6th or 7th place. I want to try to get first. I'm gonna go to the moon as soon as I feel like I'm comfortable. I'm gonna make plays that no one else be thinking of, and totally forgot that hey, it's V1. You're not looking for the crystal, so not only like and then the water hag showed up at the Lunar spot, and I'm like, sweet. He gives me the pan. I'm like, all right, Lunar cookware. Here we go. Runs me down a rabbit hole, and I'm like, okay, at least if the rat tail is required. And I'm like, well, okay, wait a minute, it's V1.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have to ask because I totally forgot. Where was the legend sword in the Adamant?
The legend sword was you defeated Antlion in the Ashura spot, and
Okay.
the Adamant was in the magnetic cave guarded by
Ah,
Kenneth.
okay. So going moon or swoon anyway, which was what I kind of wanted to do, would have bit me in the butt anyway. So that's kind of good to know.
Yeah,
But
with this seed, it absolutely would. Yeah.
but it happens, like you forget the flag sets. I think we've all kind of done that once or twice. At least I didn't go to Z without the crystal. I've done that about 4 or 5 times. So
Oh,
uh,
funny you should mention that. We do have Dr. Spin in here who did kind of make that mistake there.
there you go. Like we've
Yeah.
all done it.
Yeah.
We've all done it. So
It's the first time I've done it, but it feels bad when you do it.
oh man, as I get the last item, and I'm going to like 16 or so, and I'm like, wait a minute, these are, I only have 2 spots left. I have 3 key items I'm missing. Oh, did I miss something? So then I was like, oh, CPU, you had it, okay. And I get the last boss and get the last time, like, what did I miss? Oh no, and I did it while I was on a stream too. Like, oh no, it was bad, but that's you know what, good times.
Well, I would like to thank both of you for sticking with it till the end, and thank you for joining us for this interview today. Do you have any final thoughts?
Nope. Appreciate you guys doing the commentary today, and props are tracking and restreaming. I don't remember who was tracking, but I believe Skull Kitty's restreaming, so appreciate the hard work.
Yeah, the
And
Legion rep is doing the tracking. You did a great job.
nice, awesome, and hopefully cheer everybody on AGDQ at on Friday, and that's about it.
All right. Thank you again.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any last thoughts about this seed tonight, Motas?
You know, it was super entertaining to see a seed where the routing was so wide open once they got underground. I mean, easily there could have been runners who completed this seed in 2.5 or 3 hours, along with Chokoshira completing it just over an hour. Like, it just was the luck and where you thought could go next. I love to see seeds like that. I like it when the randomizer shows you what randomizers are all about, because when it's a straight up path that everyone has to follow, then you're just getting into regular speed running, right? You're just getting into regular execution skills. Whereas when you have the ability to pick different paths, you get to see where people can really shine by playing the meta game, trying to figure out, what their opponents are doing or where their opponents might go, and making some risky plays like we saw, which didn't pan out in most cases this time, but sometimes can, and then all of a sudden you're ahead of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally right. So I just want to once again give shout outs to our tracker, Allegiabrap, did a great job tonight. Our restreamer, Scala Kitty, everyone here at the Free Enterprise channel for allowing us to have our Monday race here. It's been great. Right now, we are going to send it to Justin MPD for the next one. And thank you, everybody, for watching.